Hey everybody, welcome back to A Better Computer. My name is Matt, and today I wanted to talk about ProRAW and an idea I have for maybe something Apple could add in the future. Now, yesterday, Apple released iOS 14.3, which brought ProRAW support to the camera app on the iPhone 12 Pro and 12 Pro Max. And I love it. I made a video earlier talking about how it works with night mode. I think it's a fantastic update. I love having raw photos in the stock camera app and not having to use a third party to get that, although I still use Halide as well because I love that app and it has other benefits. But a very brief breakdown of what that does is that it's an evolution of the RAW plus JPEG capture that have been in cameras for a long time, that have been in other smartphones, and it's just kind of Apple's take on it and an improvement on it in some ways. And so basically what happens normally when you take a photo on your iPhone is a JPEG or HEIC photo is taken. It's a compressed version of the photo with all of Apple's Deep Fusion, Smart HDR, night mode, all that stuff applied, and then it's compressed and saved into a compatible format that works basically everywhere. With ProRAW, when you snap a photo, basically you get that exact same photo, so that exact same photo exists, but you also get a RAW version. And the RAW version is not quite RAW in the way that it's traditionally been talked about in cameras. It's not the raw sensor data. It's that plus a little bit of Apple's Deep Fusion and stuff to get rid of noise and add a little bit more detail that maybe wasn't there in the raw image. So it's not perfectly raw, but it's pretty darn close, and it's very useful for editing photos. And one thing I noticed while I was editing Christmas light photos. I'm just walking around the neighborhood, walking the dog at night. A lot of Christmas lights are out, and I'm taking photos of houses. And I'm using ProRAW for it, and I'm taking all those photos after the fact, and I'm editing them because I don't like the way Apple processes night mode photos out of the gate, right? I think the way they do it made sense for JPEG because you wanted to get as much information as possible in the image you give the user. They can edit it later if they want, but if the data's not there in the first place, like if everything's just too dark, it's not there, you can't get it back. So it kind of made night mode photos that I thought were too bright and not contrasty enough, but they were great starting points for editing. Now that we have ProRAW, I feel like what the system should do is give you the raw file just like it does today. Make no changes to what they're doing today. Like give me the raw file with Deep Fusion and Smart HDR applied, so I get kind of some of that extra stuff there, but I get a raw file that I can do whatever I want with, I can make whatever creative choices with. But the JPEG or HEIC that you give me as well, I would like that to be tuned to my personal taste. Like right now it's being tuned to Apple's taste, to Apple's decisions about how it should process each photo. And I'd love to have those JPEGs just look like what I'm going to create from the raw file, right? And so I got this idea basically when I was going through photos for like the 5th night in a row after walking the dog, and I was editing these Christmas light photos, and I just found myself doing the same edits over and over. I kept lowering the highlights, boosting the shadows, increasing the contrast a little bit, bringing up the vibrance a smidge. Like I was doing basically the same edits to the point where I just copied one of them and then just pasted it across 10 other photos, and those 10 photos instantly looked basically like what I wanted. And I thought that was fantastic. And I think what ProRAW enables Apple to do is give people a more personalized processed photo, right? So the processed photo, the JPEG or HEIC that they've been given previously, has been all them making the best decisions they can to get as many people happy as possible. I think now that they have ProRAW and that they have people editing ProRAW, and if they're editing in the Photos app right now, they can see what changes they're making. They're able to basically see, okay, this person likes these sorts of settings. They're going to take whatever we give them, and then maybe they're going to have higher shadows, lower highlights, and a little more vibrance, right? And so then when you process photos that are like that, I'd love to see the system kind of lean towards what you're going to do ultimately, what I, the user, am going to do ultimately, because then it reduces the work I have to do, because a classic thing with computers is if it's a thing you're doing the same over and over and over again, a computer should do that. A computer should be automated to do that. And so I think this is a great opportunity for them to kind of personalize the photos that the iPhone takes for, admittedly, it's for professional users, it's for people who are going to edit the photos maybe anyway, but I think that what I get right now with ProRAW is a JPEG that during the day looks great and is almost always perfect. But at night is really when I notice it, is that the version Apple gives me in the JPEG isn't really what I want. So I take the raw file, I edit it, and then I export a JPEG that is more to my liking. And so it would be great if I didn't have to edit the raw every time. I'd love to have the power to do it. I love having that raw there just in case, but I'd love it if the system could just do it automatically for me. So that's kind of my idea. This would require some work from developers. It would require work from Apple. Like Apple doesn't know what changes I'm making in Lightroom, for example. They can only track what's going on in the Photos app or Darkroom or some other app like that. there'd have to be hooks for like the photo to, like when it exports to the camera roll, be able to say, here's the JPEG, and then here's the edits I made, so that iOS can track that and then kind of add that to your profile. And so maybe your daytime photos would stay the same because you don't really change those much, but your nighttime photos would change with those new settings that you're using, like the ones I kind of explained with Christmas lights. So the next time I take a photo of Christmas lights in night mode, iOS can detect that. It says, oh, this looks like those other photos you took. Let me make the same edits for the JPEG, give you that, and then maybe that'll be perfect for you already. And if not, you still have the RAW there. So kind of a niche thing, kind of a thing you'd probably have to opt into, but I think it would be kind of a cool thing to add on to this functionality that they added in iOS 14.3. It would be really cool to see this in a future update to iOS. So if you think this is cool, if you think there's another way to do it, or if you think that it's a crazy idea and they shouldn't do it at all, let me know in the comments. I'll be reading those for a little bit after this video posts. If you like the video, please subscribe, hit the like button, all those things, and I'll see you here next time. Bye-bye.